Hi everyone, you can start now. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your kind attention, please? A very warm welcome to all distinguished guests, speakers, and participants joining us from different places, cultures, and time zones. Before we begin, kindly ensure that your microphones are muted at all times unless invited to speak. Participants are encouraged to use the chat box for question or technical assistance throughout the program. Your cooperation in maintaining professional online ethics is greatly appreciated. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. Today we gather beyond borders and beyond screens, united by one shared mission to build resilient minds for a stronger generation. On behalf of the organizing committee, it is my honor to welcome all of you to the International Intellectual Discourse UPSI 2026, Building Resilient Minds for a Stronger Youth. This program brings together voices from across the world to discuss one of the most urgent conversations of our time, youth mental resilience in a high-pressure academic world. We are truly grateful for your presence in making this global discourse meaningful. Ladies and gentlemen, as a symbol of our love and respect, our beloved nation and the university, we proudly present the ceremony now invites everyone to sing the Malaysian national anthem, Negaraku, followed by the University Pendidikan Sultan Idris anthem, Ibu Kandung Suluh Budiman.
Ibu kandung suluh budiman, obor di malam gelap, bina budi penyebar tekad, pancaran semangat wajah. Ibu kandung suluh budiman, ibu pujaan kami yang berjasa pada masyarakat, hidup gagah berani. Ibu kandung suluh budiman, dengarlah sumbang sinar suci, selagi hayat di kandung badan, kami tetap berbakti. Selagi hayat di kandung badan, kami tetap berbakti.
Thank you. To begin our program on a blessed note, I would like to invite Muhammad Iman Effendi bin Muhammad Azri to lead the Doa recitation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. O Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate, we gather here today for your sake. O Allah, forgive our sins, forgive the sins of our parents, forgive the sins of our relatives, forgive the sins of our teachers, forgive the sins of our friends, and forgive the sins of all Muslims, whether they are still living or have passed away. O Allah, the most generous, the most loving, we express our deepest gratitude to you for granting us the opportunity to attend this program today. O Allah, bless this program and shower it with your mercy. May this gathering strengthen the bonds of friendships among us. O Allah, the provider, the opener, the all-knowing. We pray that you protect all residents of College Harun AMINURRASID from any danger, accidents, calamities, and hardships that may affect the management of this college. Is all administrative matters of College Harun AMINURRASID. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Amin amin ya Rabbal Alamin. Thank you for the beautiful recitation. May today's program run smoothly and be filled with meaningful knowledge and positive impact. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with a short photography session. I would like to invite everyone to kindly turn on your cameras and give their smile. For this session, the floor is now handed over to our media team to take charge of the photo capture. Media team, please take over.
Hello everyone, I'm from media team. Please show your happiest smile that you have. Okay, everyone ready? Wait. Okay. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Again. In 3, 2, 1. Next, for the best picture, show your thumbs up. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Next, for your freestyle. In 3, 2, 1. Okay. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, mental health is no longer a personal issue, it is a global conversation. And today, we are privileged to host inspiring voices representing 5 nations, sharing real experiences and practical insights. Guiding this important conversation is our moderator, Adam Muhammad Sharafuddin bin Cik Zakari, Academic and Career Executive Committee Associate, MMK KH 2035-2026. Without further ado, I hand over the virtual floor to our moderator. Over to you, Adam.
Okay, thank you, Aina, our MC, for the introduction. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very warm welcome to everyone. Welcome to the International Intellectual Discourse, a platform for scholarly discussion that brings together insights and ideas from our panelists on current issues affecting students and the global community. I am Adam Muhammad Sharafuddin bin Cik Zakari, and I will be your moderator for this morning's session. In today's academic landscape, stress is no longer something rare. It has become a constant part of students' daily life. The real question is, are we growing from it or merely surviving through it? And more importantly, how do we move from simply coping to truly thriving? Today, we are honored to have 3 distinguished panelists from diverse international backgrounds. Mr. Kenneth, President of the Student Teachers Club, National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. Miss Mackenzie Nathan, student representative of the University of North Carolina, KENAN-FLAGLER Business School, United States. And lastly, we have Miss NAGIMA ZHUMAKADYROVA, Education Malaysia Global Service Ambassador, Master Student from Kyrgyzstan. How are our panelists doing today? I hope everyone is in good health and ready to share their insights and experiences with our audience. I would like to thank all our panelists for taking the time to join us today to share their insights and experiences on how students can navigate academic stress and anxiety and grow from these challenges. Without further delay, let us begin. For our first question, I would like to invite Mr. KENNARD to share his thoughts. Mr. KENNARD, are you there?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so Mr. KENNARD, in an era where productivity is glorified and being constantly busy is often equated with success, do you feel that students today are genuinely learning or merely trying to survive?
Thank you for having me today. It's truly an honor to be part of this discussion. And I think that is a very meaningful question to start with. So I believe students today are still learning, but very often in a way that feels more like survival rather than genuine growth. In many ways, we are caught between the two, navigating both at the same time. And I can speak personally. So like many of my peers, I find myself juggling deadlines, expectations, and the constant feeling that I need to be doing more, achieving more, and never falling behind. And I believe one key factor shaping this experience is the increased presence of social media. Students today are constantly exposed to the achievements of others, whether it's academic results, leadership roles, internships, or personal milestones. But what we often forget is that social media is highly curated, and people tend to post just their successes and not their struggles or failures. And over time, this creates a very skewed perception of reality, where it feels like everyone around you is constantly succeeding, constantly progressing, and constantly ahead. And naturally, this leads to comparison. And students start to feel that being average is not enough, and that we always need to outperform just to be considered exceptional. And that is where I guess the idea of survival comes in. And when you feel like you're in a constant race, your priorities start to shift. Instead of focusing on understanding and internalizing what you are learning, or reflecting on your experiences in your leadership roles, internships, or projects, the focus becomes the output instead. It becomes about doing well in the assignments, scoring in the exams, building a strong portfolio, almost like you are doing a checklist of things to complete. And while these things are important to a certain extent, the danger is that learning and reflection becomes secondary. And students may complete the task efficiently, but not necessarily meaningfully. And they may perform well, but not always develop a deep understanding of what they are actually studying. And this to me is what a rat race looks like. So you're constantly moving, constantly achieving, but not always given this time and space to pause, reflect, and truly internalize your learning. But I also think it's important to recognize that this is not a reflection of students lacking motivation or interests. In many cases, I believe students genuinely want to learn. We are all curious, capable, and driven. But sometimes the pressure around us and broader societal mindsets often push us towards the short-term performance rather than long-term growth. So perhaps the issue is not whether students are learning or surviving, but the conditions around us often make us feel like learning is survival. And addressing this is not just the responsibility of educators or institutions. It really requires a collective shift. As educators and institutions, we can design environments where students feel safe to fail, and where the emphasis is not just on results, but on the process of learning. But at the same time, students also have a role to play in learning to step back from the constant comparison, especially with what is portrayed on social media, because what we see online is often a highlight reel and not the real full journey. And when we constantly measure ourselves against that highlight reel, it becomes very difficult to develop a healthy and meaningful relationship with learning. So part of this shift is also helping students understand and recognize that they don't have to follow someone else's definition of success. Each individual can define success in their own way, and more importantly, take their own path towards it. And more broadly as a society, we also need to rethink how we define success. Students don't exist in isolation. They always reflect the value of the systems and societies that we are part of, And if we continue to celebrate only outcomes, celebrating grades, achievements, accolades, then naturally students will have to optimize for these outcomes. But if we start valuing growth, effort, and understanding, then we begin to create space for more authentic learning as a society. So to conclude, I would say that many students today are indeed learning, but often under the pressure of trying to survive. And if we want to move towards more authentic learning, it requires not just changes in how we teach, but rather also a broader shift in mindsets from institutions, from students, and from society as a whole. Because at the end of the day, learning should not just be about checking boxes or being competitive. It should be about curiosity, growth, and the courage to follow your own path. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kenneth, for highlighting the difference between surviving and truly learning. Okay, so moving on, Miss Mackenzie, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, hello, Miss Mackenzie. Okay, so my question to you is, with the rise of AI tools, online learning, and increasing competition, do you believe academic pressure has become more manageable or more overwhelming?
Yeah, this is a great question. And yeah, thanks for letting me be here. This is awesome to get to like learn from all the other speakers, but also, yeah, just share my experience. I think like it's definitely become more overwhelming, although there is like a height of convenience having AI and digital tools to be able to speed up some of the more technical work that was all human done in the past. It also increases the expectations on us as students. I think that the convenience is amazing, but yeah, that bar is continuing to rise higher and higher. And I think that really results in the pressure that a lot of students are feeling more now than in past generations. I think also something I've noticed when I use AI for projects, when we're allowed to, I really get a lot of like overload of information, and it even can be a lot to sift through, and so that can create mental fatigue. So online learning has, you know, all of the resources of the internet, but also like I'm a pretty indecisive person, so it's a lot of information to sift through. I think also we were talking about just like, yeah, like the performance gap anxiety, where students are feeling really pressured to keep up with other peers, and that comparison of how to effectively use AI tools. And I think even like the professional world isn't 100% sure how to use AI tools. This is like a hot topic in all of, you know, the globe, and international business. And in some of the biggest companies, they're still trying to figure it out. And so I think it's okay to like take a moment and realize that everyone is trying to figure this out. It is new to all of us. And I think, yeah, it can just be easy to get caught up in the headlines and kind of like get into this doom mindset. When in reality, there are things and new technological advancements that happen like this every so often. And the world hasn't ended yet. So yeah. And then I think also just thinking more on the personal side is there is, yeah, I think it can create like a boundary between study and rest. The online learning just has students so digitally connected all the time, and it's hard, at least for me, to have a boundary between academic and personal time. And I think that that's something that I have been working to be a lot more intentional with in college and like in university, taking time that I like have to schedule on my Google Calendar so that I know I'm taking intentional rest time. Because like we are full people, we're not just, you know, a student, but we're also like a daughter and a sister and a friend. And so I think looking at someone as a 3D person, and like realizing that you are and giving yourself grace for that is really important in the rise of all of these like new technological tools. And then just overall in terms of like ways that I've learned from different professionals that I've networked with to kind of think about AI in a different way is the fact that these, like I said, more technical skills that were previously outsourced are now being, yeah, done by machinery. And so it's a lot about thinking about the skills that we're building that won't be replaceable by AI. And I think some of that is like confidence and presentation and like soft skills, like human interaction and like how to deal with conflict and things that, I mean, like everyone's learning in their daily lives as a student and just as a human being. But I think something that I've really thought about a lot is that human empathy is something that can't be manufactured. And so like that's a really cool part of yeah, just like being with other people that like AI can never take away.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mackenzie, for that insightful perspective on how technology shapes academic pressure. Okay, let's now hear from Ms. Najima. Ms. Najima, are you here with us?
Hello. Yeah, it's Nagima actually.
I'm sorry, Nagima?
Nagima. Yeah, correct.
Nagima. Oh, sorry for my mistake.
Morning.
Okay. Okay, let's now hear from Ms. Nagima. Ms. Nagima, why do you think many students feel like they are never doing enough, even when they are already overwhelmed?
Okay, thank you for the question. And also thank you for reaching me out and inviting for this conference. It is a great pleasure to be with you in this weekend. And I want to thank to each and everyone here, like for taking your time on the weekend, like it's Sunday, but you are here. So it's like a good work. I mean, I could say that everyone here are highly motivated person or people who is taking the time from the weekend and attending the conference. So I think they need it because they are the one who are hardworking, I guess. Oh, about the question, right? I honestly, I always used to approach pressure as a privilege. You can feel your limits and you can work on it. But however, yeah, we should accept that sometimes students nowadays, we approach things in a bit extreme way. So we romanticize exhaustion in a way that, oh yeah, if we are overwhelmed today, it means that we did it very well. Like for example, for today, then it goes like day by day and it brings exhaustion, burnout, so overwhelmed, and then dismotivation after all. So I would join the speakers earlier, like as KENNARD, if I'm pronouncing correct, he said that we need to stop, breathe, and then think about what we are doing. And then other than checking the box that we want to achieve, we also should pay attention to our friends, as MAKENZIE said, that we should remember that we have family a part of the checkboxes that we should spend time with. So I feel like besides the external pressure, we should also pay attention to our internal pressure, that when we want to achieve those checkboxes, we should just follow maybe golden medium philosophy, where we can just stop, breathe, think where we are going between the right and the wrong things, and just keep the balance between work and life with a normal level of pressure, where we won't get overwhelmed and then later have burnout. So yeah.
Oh, okay. That is such an
I feel like in this topic, the speakers earlier said pretty much. So this is it.
Okay, thank you. That is such an interesting perspective. I really do agree with you. As a student myself, I feel like we romanticize exhaustion too much to the point that it brings us a not good effect. So thank you, Ms. Nagima, for shedding light on the hidden pressures students face. Okay. Many students today look fine on the outside, but internally, they feel like they're constantly falling short. So let's now move to coping strategies. Our first question goes to Mr. Kenneth. Mr. Kenneth?
Hello.
Okay, Mr. Kenneth, students today are more aware of mental health than ever before, yet stress levels continue to rise. Why is awareness not enough?
Thank you for the question. I think awareness is definitely a step in the right direction, but on its own, it's never sufficient. Because ultimately, awareness tells us what we are feeling, but it doesn't always tell us exactly what to do next or also give us the courage to act on it. So awareness helps students recognize when they are stressed, and it gives us the language to describe what we are feeling and perhaps also exposes us to different coping strategies. But in reality, applying those strategies is often much harder than it sounds. It's one thing to know that you should rest, reach out, or manage your time better. But as Miss MAKENZIE had shared just now as well, with a rising bar and constant comparisons in this new age of AI, you find yourself often in the middle of deadlines, expectations, and academic pressure, therefore making it not so easy to act on that knowledge that you are stressed. So from personal experience, I found that even when I know I need to take a break, there's often this inner voice saying, if I stop now, I'll fall behind. And I know that I'm not alone in feeling this way. So even with awareness, we sometimes continue pushing through, thinking that it's the only option or it's the best option. Another potential reason awareness is not enough is that there could still be some stigma around mental health existing, even if it's less visible today. Even in broader society, there can be some subconscious biases. If two individuals have similar qualifications, but one openly shares a history of mental health struggles, there may be some hesitation or judgment involved. Because of this, students may worry about being labeled or perceived differently, and that discourages them from seeking help. On a more personal level, ego also plays a role. Seeking help requires vulnerability, and for some students, that can feel uncomfortable or even shameful. There may be thoughts like, I should be able to handle this myself, or others seem to be coping, so why can't I? And so, awareness alone does not remove all these internal and external barriers. At the same time, I think it's also important to recognize that stress itself is not something we can completely eliminate. And in some cases, it can even be beneficial, as Ms. NAGIMA had shared just now. We often hear the phrase, pressure makes diamonds. And to some extent, that is true. Growth can happen under pressure, but only when the pressure is manageable and supported. Too much pressure without proper rest or guidance won't polish you. Instead, it will crack you. And so the key then is being able to differentiate between healthy and unhealthy stress. Healthy stress challenges you, but still allows you to function, reflect, and grow. It motivates you, helps you stretch your limits, and can even build resilience. Unhealthy stress, on the other hand, becomes overwhelming. It affects your well-being, your ability to think clearly, and even your relationship with learning. So beyond awareness, students need not just the ability to recognize stress, but also the support and confidence to respond to it, whether that means seeking help, taking a step back, or adjusting their approach. And again, this is not just an individual responsibility. Institutions can provide resources and support systems, but they must also create environments where students feel psychologically safe to use them. Peers play a role in normalizing conversations around mental health, and as a society, we need to move beyond just talking about mental health to truly accepting it without judgment. So to answer the question, awareness is important, and it's a good step forward, but it's only the first step. What truly matters is whether students feel safe enough, supported enough, and empowered enough to act on that awareness. Because ultimately, it's not just about knowing that you're struggling, it's about believing that it's okay to do something about it. And as students, part of our growth is learning to listen to ourselves, honor our limits, and act on that awareness without shame. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kenya. I really do agree with you. And each point of view, I is so interesting. Like voice inside my head, yeah, that's true. I always feel that way. I feel like there's always voices that constantly telling me to no, don't stop, keep on going and everything. And it creates a pressure for me to be myself. So thank you, Mr. Kennard, for reminding us that awareness must be followed by action, not it alone. Now, moving on. So we often hear students say, I know I'm stressed, but I don't know what to do about it. We also hear advice like, just take a break. So, Miss MAKENZIE.
Yes.
Okay, so my question to you is, do you think taking a break is always helpful, or can it sometimes become a form of avoidance?
Yeah, this is a good question. I think I've definitely experienced both of these helpful and maybe avoidance at different points in my life and just being a student. I think definitely setting time apart for a break without intention can be avoidant. I know I can whip out my phone and start scrolling on Instagram Reels or TikTok. And so I think that it is helpful when it's planned and purposeful. rather than just me escaping from my responsibilities, and it doesn't end up being restful anyway. So I think that's something that I would say to that. And then, yeah, I think perhaps like students not wanting to, like, I guess, engage with like more stressful or difficult tasks may seek breaks as a way to, yeah, kind of get away from it or just avoid doing something that may be a little bit harder. I think also, yeah, like I said, just without those clear boundaries, those breaks can be distraction. And also with the algorithm being designed to hold our attention span, I think that it can be really easy to get looped in for hours without realizing it. And so I think definitely rest is a balance between discipline and intentionality, but also just allowing yourself to have grace with yourself and recharge. But I definitely think that it should be a reset that helps you spiritually, emotionally, physically. But yeah, it's definitely a layered question for me this year. That's looked like getting off of social media. I think I went in with the thought of like, oh, I like won't be on like Instagram and see what everyone's posting, and I won't be in the loop. But I think being disconnected wasn't as bad at all as I thought it was, and was really good for taking intentional breaks that didn't include scrolling. And I ended up feeling a lot more rested, even though the amount of work I was doing was the same. Just taking the rest time that I was taking in a more intentional way made it feel, yeah, just a lot more rejuvenating. I think kind of like what other speakers have talked about as well, of like kind of this like pride and productivity of feeling like, yeah, like it's a medal to be like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I feel like I'm doing so much, and can come off a little bit like as a brag of like, yeah, I'm doing so much that I'm so tired. I think that's definitely something that I've thought about a lot as well, and just realizing that like it's okay to rest. And even if the people around you may not be willing to like realize that, I think that you can like give yourself the humility to be like, it's okay for me to take a step back. I think the last thing I'll say too is like in seasons where I felt really unrested, I feel like I've been pouring out of an empty cup. And so I think thinking about like what fills up your cup and how are you like not leaving yourself drained is really important. And then I think like rest is a gift, but if you don't take it like a gift, it can be a consequence, whether that's like getting sick because you're studying up so late at night, you know? So I think that those are just some things that I've taken away from my university experience.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mackenzie. I really do agree with you, especially that last point. Like, rest is a gift, but if it's not, if you don't take it well, then it will be a consequences. Because I experienced that a lot in my students' days. So thank you, Ms. Mackenzie, for clarifying the difference between rest and avoidance. Now, let's move on. Okay, this question is for Ms. NAGIMA. Okay, so nowadays, many students wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. Ms. NAGIMA, do you think we are unintentionally normalizing burnout by treating it as just part of life?
That's actually a very good question. I would say that everyone here is highly ambitious person. So, and everyone has their own aim goals to achieve. And of course, to achieve those goals, they need to go through the certain path. But also we should remember the importance of the path to achieve that goal. I mean, does it worth to go and to achieve that goal in a way that you are doing now? Sometimes when you achieve something, you will understand that it's something that you never wanted. I mean, of course, you will never know it before you achieve it, but you should remember the path is important. So it's your life that you are living. It's your loving people that is near you, and that those people care about you. You should care about yourself as well. So your internal feeling is very important as well before achieving those goals. So I think for the burnout that we are experiencing, that will be the same in the work life, to be honest. Like if you don't handle it during the student life that you are experiencing now, where you can build your priorities, where you can build your mindset towards to the certain things and move in the way, in the speed that you can handle, that will be the best to escape to escape the dangerous part between burnouts and exhaustion, and to follow your path in a normal speed that athletes follow. Like you shouldn't rush, but also you shouldn't avoid. As earlier speaker said, like you should follow the path, you should remember your goal, and then you should remember the speed that you are going with. Where you, or if you are feeling that, I mean, I do personally sometimes feel that I'm exhausted or I'm overwhelmed, and I also like to take a break, to step back, to have a helicopter view for the thing that I'm doing now. Like, I mean, maybe I'm not doing it enough good, or maybe I'm not doing it in a way that I wanted to do it. So I feel like in order to escape this burnout, first of all, as a student, we can use all the tools that we have. Like earlier we talked about AI tools, right? Those AI tools also can be used as for our convenience, to build our priorities, where you can build your individual timetable or individual mental assistant, I would say. Yeah. So in order to escape all those things, I think we should just analyze for ourselves what is the best for ourselves and put our priorities first, and to move in a way that we can handle it. I mean, I want to bring up one example. When I was a bachelor student, our UNICEF coordinator told about one story, like saying, imagine two students, for example, one Malaysian student and one student whose name is Ben, but both of them, they are studying in Harvard. So for the Ben, who is from US, who is from Boston, he needs to go just he needs to cross the road to attend the class, which is going on, which is the usual class for everyone. But also there is, like, for example, another student from Malaysia that we talked, right? His name is, I don't know, Imran, for example. And you should understand the sacrifices are not the same. So the timeline, the checkbox, you can't compare yourself with external indicators. I mean, those students didn't sacrifice on the same level. So you should understand your background is different and everything is different, and your mindset is different, the way how you think is different, and to achieve the certain mark that you are achieving in the class, everyone is doing different level of pressure, going through different level of pressure, or doing different things to achieve that. So you should always remember to treat yourself in the best way, and remember that the pressure that you're going through, another person is not going through. So, like, you should respect yourself in that way, and remember the thing that you've done in order to escape the burnout and in order to not be harsh on yourself, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Nagima, for that very insightful perspective and a very good advice. Thank you for addressing the reality of burnout in student life today. So now let's move on to Mr. Kenneth. Sorry. Okay. Hello, Mr. Kenneth. So, Mr. Kenneth, as we move towards a more reflective perspective, I would like to ask you a question. Okay. Many students believe that being strong means never stopping. In your opinion, what does strength actually mean for students today? Is it about pushing through stress or knowing when to pause?
Thank you for the question. I think, as Adam, you have shared just now, stress is sometimes worn as a badge of honor. So strength has often been associated with pushing through of not stopping, not giving up, and continuing despite challenges. And to some extent, that is important because resilience allows us to grow. But I will argue that strength today is not just about pushing through, it's also about knowing when to pause, as some of the other speakers had shared earlier. Because when students push themselves beyond their limits for prolonged periods, the consequences are not always immediate, but they can be very significant in the long run. You can have a burnt out, mental fatigue, and a loss of motivation, which might quietly build up. And constantly pushing forward is not always a sign of strength, and so it can sometimes be a sign that we are ignoring our own limits. And from my own experience, I've seen students, and myself included, feel like we must always keep going, even when we are overwhelmed, simply to keep up with expectations, deadlines, and the perception that everyone else is progressing faster. And that's where reflection and pausing becomes vital. A useful way to understand this is through an example. So in the 1986 NASA Challenger space shuttle disaster, actually engineers had raised concerns about the safety of the O-rings under cold conditions before the launch. And so they were aware of the risks and had the technical knowledge to justify the concerns. But due to external pressures, deadlines, expectations, program momentum, etc., the ultimate decision was still made to proceed with the launch despite these concerns. And now we know that that tragic was unfortunately bad. The outcome was bad. So while this is a very different context, there is still a lesson to be learned here. Sometimes when there is a strong pressure to continue, to meet expectations, to keep up, and to not fall behind, we may ignore warning signs, whether they are physical, mental, or emotional. And in student life, that pressure might not directly lead to tragedy, but it can have serious consequences over time. So as mentioned, burnt out, loss of motivation, or even long-term disengagement from learning. And sometimes pushing yourself past a limit doesn't make you stronger. It just quietly chips away at who you are and your own well-being. So true strength lies in having balance. And I think as Ms. Nagima had shared earlier about Aristotle's golden mean, where virtue exists between extremes. So you have on one extreme end constantly pushing through, which can potentially cause you to burn out. And then on the other extreme end, it is not pushing through at all and just giving up, which makes you avoidant of all challenges. So what is important here is to find that golden mean, which is finding that middle ground. So it's about having that resilience to push through healthy challenges, but also the self-awareness and courage to pause when needed. And understand that pausing is not the same as giving up. In fact, it's a way of sustaining yourself so that you can continue to grow in the long run. Because life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And so this also connects to how we define success. When we constantly compare ourselves to others, whether it's through peers or what we see online, it creates that pressure to always keep going. But everyone has their own timeline and pathway. And part of strength is defining success on your own terms and being comfortable to take your own path to get there. So ultimately, stress is not about choosing between pushing through or pausing. It's about knowing when to do each. And having resilience helps you to grow, but having awareness helps you to sustain that growth. So for students today, both are equally important. So if there's one takeaway I would like to leave today, it's this. Being strong is not about never stopping. It's about knowing when to push, when to pause, and having the courage to make that choice for yourself and refrain from comparing with others. Because as Ms. Nagima had nicely put it with an example just now of the two students with different backgrounds who went to Harvard, everyone can find their own definition of success and everyone can take your own path to get there. So don't have to compare with others, just live life for yourself. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kenneth. It's true, live life for yourself. Okay, thank you again, Mr. Kenneth, for defining what true strength means for students. Moving on, Miss Mackenzie.
Yes.
Okay, so if students were no longer afraid of failure, how do you think their academic journey would change?
Yeah, I think I have a couple points to think through here and then kind of just my take on like my personal experience with this. But I would say starting out, fear of failure to students would it like allow them to definitely try new ideas, step out of their comfort zone, prioritize like chasing the like process rather than the results and the perfection, because I think there's so much that we miss in like being in the moment and learning that like we're so set on the destination or the like outcome that we yeah, it just kind of holds us back. And then I think that removing fear allows students to think more creatively and also critically. And then the students could just have a little bit more confidence and resilience instead of anxiety and self-doubt in terms of the fear of failure. But I think, like, I get it. Like, it's totally normal to have a fear of failure, but it's honestly a really interesting concept. I remember hearing about a survey where they surveyed like a bunch of people that were pretty old and had lived a lot of life and had a lot of wisdom. And one of the most common regrets people had were like regrets of risks they didn't take. And so I think that's something to think about in terms of like fear of failure, or just like putting yourself out there or seeking out opportunities that, like at the end of the day, like that wisdom from the older generation of like the fear of holding them back being something they kind of regretted is something that I've thought about in my life. And it's like, the shots that you don't shoot, you just won't get. And so I think there's like wisdom in deciding what opportunities to pursue or how to go about things that you could fear failure from. But I think that like it's important to weigh those options. And then I think something we've all talked about a lot on this is just like imposter syndrome and how we could feel like we can't do it or there's just like a lack of confidence there. But I think like we've talked about like being open and just realizing that like so many students struggle with that, and they're like board executives who run full companies who feel that like just as much as we as students feel that as well. And so I think that's something to take comfort in. But yeah, I think the concept of failure is, like I said, interesting because it is all about the way that you frame things in situations, because at the end of the day, like failures in my life at least have produced some of the greatest learning outcomes for me. Maybe not the physical outcome that I had hoped for, but there's a lot to learn and gain from a failure. And so in some ways it can be a win-win situation because you're either losing or you're not losing. You're either learning or you are achieving the result that you had hoped for. In either way, there can be a lot of growth in that.
Thank you, Ms. MAKENZIE, for that encouraging perspective on embracing failure. Thank you. So now let's move on to our last question. Finally, to conclude our discussion, Ms. NAGIMA.
Yes.
Okay. If you could give one honest message to students who feel like they are constantly falling behind, what would it be?
This is the last question, right? And then I feel like the sharing from the speakers earlier, it was very insightful on this topic as well. Like every answer to the questions, like it was very useful and insightful, and then they can be taken as an insight for this question, like as an answer for this question, that we should take break, that we should remember that we are each our individual, that we have our own values, we have our own timeline and everything. But I just want to bring up here like not this part of the talk. Maybe I want to give some personal example, like I always used to pressure myself, like last year, that, oh, I am 23 already, but I didn't earn my first million. I mean, I used to say it a lot, like, and then, but you know, when you have the international environment and discussion with your friends, and at the same time, one of my friends said like something, I'm sorry, guys, I'm only 25, like I can do mistakes. Like it was just a simple mistake, but yeah, we were having the friends gathering, and then we're talking about and complaining about each other's behavior, just to have the common ground. And then that was a tick in my mind, like, is it the cultural difference? Is it the difference in perception? Like, okay, why am I pressuring myself, like saying, okay, I am 23 already, but this guy is saying like, I'm 25, I'm sorry, this is a simple mistake that we can do in our life. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe this is a difference in like the cultural difference between I accept myself as an Asian, so between Asian and the Western culture. But then I was thinking about it, talking with Asian friends, talking with sorry for generalizing, like Western friends, and then just maybe we should keep the balance between these two approaches, like do not avoid, as Mackenzie said, and keep up with the speed, and then remember that the life is marathon, as Kennard said, Mr. Kennard said. So, remember the keynote that I took for me, that average age for millionaire is 50 years old, not 23 years old. So just remember and follow your certain speed. And then you are students, so you can sometimes enjoy your life. Weekends are created to enjoy your life. And then weekdays you can work, and work very hard. Do not excuse yourself with burnouts. Try to prioritize your priorities, build your own schedule, and then just follow it. Yeah, this is the insight that I took for today.
Okay, I love your advice so much, Miss Nagima. Thank you. Thank you again, Miss Nagima, for that meaningful reminder to trust our own journey. As we reach the end, thank you very much to our panelists for sharing such meaningful insights and thoughtful reflections. As we conclude today's forum, we are reminded that stress is indeed an inevitable part of student life, but it is something that can be managed effectively. Challenges and setbacks do not define us. Rather, it is how we respond to them that shapes our growth, resilience, and overall well-being. Let's remember that managing stress is a skill to be developed, a burden to be endured. I encourage each one of you to reflect on the insights shared today and consider how they may be applied in your own academic journey. Thank you to our distinguished panelists and to everyone who has joined us today.
Thank you, Adam. A massive thank you to our panelists, such as insightful and inspiring first session. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now take a short break. During the recess, we will feature a special video presentation titled Mental Health Awareness Around UPSI.
Rifin, aku kenal tak budak Fatin tu? Kenal? Dah lah gemuk. Badan dia tusuk muka kepam dah. Aku tak tahan. Sumpah bau kepam. Geli. Jom kita kenalkan dia tak? Jom. Kita jom. Baik, Mak. Kenapa korang?
Tak payah tanya. Sekarang saja.
Tak apa masalah sekarang ni. Kau yang kau cantik ke? Ha?
Selfie.
Tengok pada kau lah. Bisik dua Tina. Tengok kita cantik dia tu. Cuma Tina.
Jom.
So based on the video, cyberbullying is not okay.
So yeah, I just saw the video about the body shaming thing, and it is really not cool to say that to other people because we don't know what they have gone through, what they experienced.
So my response towards that video is that body shaming is a very bad behavior that a person can do.
Okay, based on the video, I would say that cyberbullying is bad
and it should not be normalized in the society.
Okay, we don't just book by its cover.
Definitely 5 because we have to know our mental health to deal with our mental health. Obviously,
1 to 5, I rate 5 because it can be effect to our mental health and well-being.
To the scale of 5, I believe it is 5 out of 5 when it comes to our mental health strength, because mental health determines our self-identity, how we see ourselves. So I think mental health is very important for one person.
Scale of 5, I would say 5 because for me, I think understanding your own mental health is just as important as your physical health. Why? Because if you understand your own mental health, it's just like you know how you feel, you know how you would react, okay, how you would try to understand people.
definitely 5 because we have to know our mental health to deal with our mental health. Obviously,
Be kind to yourself.
To those who is struggling with mental health, don't be afraid to speak up. Talk to other person who you know, who you love. They can give you guidance and support. So remember not to keep it to yourself.
My message to someone who's struggling with cyberbullying, I would say is that you don't have to carry everything alone. Even if you feel like no one understands you, just trust me that there will be someone who cares. There's someone who cares about you.
we love you and we are proud of you. So don't hide yourself and find someone that you're comfortable to talk to. My message to you guys is do not stop fighting because I know you guys can do it. Please ignore all the negative words coming from others. You are you, you're doing you. That's all.
One small step that you could do to improve your mental health is by doing what you love. For example, for me, I love to sing, so I would sing to help me gain my confidence.
Distance yourself from negativity and toxic.
Just follow positive influences.
Take a break, okay, start to understand your inner self, pause a bit, and then the most important part is don't judge your decision.
Basically, the most simple step that you can do is just to distance yourself from anything negative. Either it's from a person, from social media, just distance yourself and it will be better for your mental health.
Mental health awareness in universities is not just important, it is essential. It reminds us that behind every student is a human being facing unseen challenges. By understanding, speaking openly, and supporting one another, we create a safer and more compassionate campus environment. It's okay to struggle, but it's not okay to suffer in silence. Reach out, check on your friends, and take care of yourself because a healthy mind is the foundation of success and a stronger future. Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the short break. As we continue today's discourse, we now shift our focus from managing pressure to building long-term resilience in a high-pressure world. We now move into our second discourse, youth resilience and mental well-being in a high-pressure world. Before we proceed, let us capture another photo with our next distinguished panel.
Okay, hey everyone, please turn up your camera. Okay, show your best
smile that you have.
You.
Okay. Stands up. Okay, ready? In 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay, again. In 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, show your thumbs up. Show your best. Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Again. In 3, 2, 1. Before the freestyle, show your best pose that you have. In 3, 2, 1. Again. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, media team. And to continue, this session will be moderated by Yashwinten Perumal, Academy and Career Executive Committee Associate, MMK KH 2025-2026. Yashwinten, the virtual stage is yours.
Good day, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you to this international intellectual discourse. Thank you for joining us for this session entitled Youth Resilience and Mental Wellbeing in a High Pressure World. My name is Yashinan Burma, and I'm honored to serve as the moderator for this session. In today's fast-paced world, where deadlines, expectations, and comparisons never seem to pause, stress has become a constant part of young people's lives. But here's the challenge we want to explore today. How can we transform that pressures into strength, growth, and resilience rather than letting it hold us back? This session is designed to create an open and engaging space where we not only discuss the realities of today's youth, but also uncover strategies, mindsets, and support systems that empower young people to thrive in an increasingly demanding world. To help us explore to this topic further, we are honored to be joined by two distinguished panelists. First, we have Dr. HAZLI ZAKARIA, who is the founder and the chairman of ALAMINDA Healthcare Berhad and serves as the clinical director of ALAMINDA Specialist Clinic Shah Alam. He's a trained psychiatrist with medical and postgraduate qualifications from University of Adelaide and University Kebangsaan Malaysia, UKM, specializing in adult psychiatry, including mood disorders, ADHD, and substance abuse. With that extensive experience as a former senior lecturer and consultant psychiatrist at UKMMC, he is actively involved in mental health advocacy, education, and public awareness. Dr. HAZLI has contributed significantly to professional bodies, including serving as president of the Malaysian Psychiatry Association and participating in international collaborations. He is also a media personality and also an educator committed to empowering individuals and improving mental health literacy and services in Malaysia. And joining us as well is Mr. JERREN, BABS and EMT is a psychological scientist who graduated from University of California in 2019. He completed 2 majors and 2 minors for his undergraduate bachelor's pre-medicine degrees. His majors were biochemistry and molecular biology, and 2 psychology, while his minors were neuroscience and human science physiology. After getting his pre-med track done, he got licensed to practice as a nationally registered emergency medical technician at REMT in California. His main interest is behavioral neuroscience, that is to study how the molecular and biochemical mechanisms in our nervous system affect our physiology and eventually produce certain behaviors, including psychopathology. He is currently building the largest private mental health research clinic, namely SUARA DJIWA clinic in Indonesia, expected to start running around October 2026. It is actually truly a pleasure with our panelists actually. And before we begin our forum, may I ask, how are you feeling today, both panelists? Are you guys excited?
I'm real excited to talk.
Okay. Okay. Thank you once again, Dr. HAZLI and Mr. JERREN, for joining us for contributing to this meaningful conversation. Without further delay, let's dive into our discussion. Building on this, let's begin by hearing from our panelists as they share their perspectives. To these young people, navigate a world of high expectations, academic performance, career preparations, family obligations, and the constant influence of social media. From your perspectives, what do you consider to be the primary pressures impacting their mental well-being today? Now, let's start with Dr. HAZLI. What do you think, Doctor?
Okay, thank you so much for the kind introduction. Thank you to for being our moderator today, and thank you to all of you who are with us today. Yeah? Okay, I want to reply to the question you asked me just now, Yashwin. How do I feel? How do I feel? One of the basic problem with us, right? We do not tell the truth. Of course, I will tell. I'm so excited, so happy to be here, to be honored to be here. But of course, as a human being, I also have my vulnerability. Of course, I feel nervous. I feel anxious. But do I have to tell? The problem with us, we never tell the truth. When people ask you, how do you feel? In the morning, when you still haven't finished your assignment, but your answer still, I'm good. So, one of the basic challenges for us is to be truthful to ourselves. We're so afraid of being what? Being judged and being perceived as not fulfill the expectation of others. But what are the primary challenges or pressure for us? It's our own expectation, right? We thought that our family want us to be like this, to achieve this, and the society want us to be like this. How about our own expectation? Sometimes we didn't realize it's not their expectation, our own expectation to fulfill what we perceive as an expectation on us. So, one of the main challenges, I think, is we forget that we are human and we try so hard not to be the human that who we are. And then if we do, we realize what are the challenges that we face. And the challenges is to make us a better person, right? But we are so afraid with the challenges, even we don't know that the challenges is going to make us a better person. So, if I tell you whatever that you face now is all the struggle that you face now is going to make you a better person, how do you feel? Of course, we want to feel that way, want to believe that way, but I'm struggling right now. I cannot think that I can get out from these challenges, this struggle. But if we know that we can, of course, we do not have all these unpleasant experiences. And then how many of us think that we will overcome this? For example, Yashin, do you still remember the struggle, the unpleasant experience that you have when you are taking your SPM? And now, how do you feel now? After you survive that, you don't think so much. Now you think, oh, it's getting harder now than before. But when we were at the time that we are facing our SPM before the result came out, do you still remember that? Of course, we do remember. Sometimes the nightmare still came to into the sleep. Some of us still traumatized by the experience of having to sit for SPM. What I'm trying to tell, stress is a part of life. Yes, there are good stress, eustress, there are distress. And now what we want to change the mindset, how we can utilize this stress to be not just to survive, but to thrive, right? That's the topic for today. The youth resilience and how to be have a good mental well-being. But remember the topic, right? We know the topic, right? But we start the question with, what are the challenges? What are the pressure that we have? See how our mind is get used to all the pressure and the negativity. I'm pretty sure Mr. JERREN will explain further on that. He's the expert in the brain. You know that our brain, somehow the default is to think about negative things. It's about all the challenges. We only know when we are not good enough. Nobody ever told us when we are enough. You only know when you get into trouble. No, otherwise you don't realize. Yeah. So even when we want to talk about the resilience, about the positive part of this stressful world, but we always start with something. What pressure you? What negative about our current situation? Why can't we start? What made you guys are so lucky to go into this university at this era? What are the things that you guys have that other generation doesn't have? Unfortunately, whatever they are good, they also carry something bad. There's always a pro and always a cons. That's what life is all about. Regardless whether you are Gen Z, close your eyes when taking picture, or you are Gen Y, who have their own challenges. Every generation has their own challenges, their own different expectation. They are something that they have to overcome. Basically, what we are facing actually are the same, but it looks different on the outside, but still the same in terms of the core challenges that we are facing. Of course, for you guys, the primary pressure is performance in your study, your academic. But you human, you are not just a student. You are also a friend. You are also a son or a daughter. You also, a role that you have to play. That is something that we never consider as a major challenges as well. And then important part is how to balance between all of this. How many hats that you have to wear, and then when to use. When you choose the wrong hat, it look ugly. Despite how many filter that you use, you still look ugly. when you use when you use a different hat for a different occasion. So for me, one of the main challenges, we do not know who we are. We do not know what we are good at, what we're not so good at. And then we do not know how to fit in into the situation. Is instead of matching, mix and match, we always mismatch. And then we do not realize the asset, the good thing that we have, because we are focusing so much on the negative part or the thing that we don't have. So if we able to step back, retreat, and then look back, and then look at the bigger picture, focus on the forest rather than one tree, and then look at what we have. There are a lake, there are something that we can explore. So if we have able to have this kind of mindset, we're able to consider whatever challenges as opportunity for us to be better. But at the same time, we need to realize it's not going to be a pleasant experience. So the problem with us, we want to be pleasant all the time. We want to be happy all the time. You are happy all the time, Yashin? Please come to see me in my clinic. Maybe a diagnosis for you as well. So the whole idea, we need to understand what life is all about, what being human is all about. With that, we are going to start a meaningful journey for us to be able to accept ourselves unconditionally, which could be the first ingredient for the resilience. I stop here. Otherwise, I'm going to torture all of you with my talk. So I give a space to Jerren.
What do you think, Mr. Jerren? What's your thought about our discussion just now? Mr. Jerren, could you turn on your mic, please? No, we couldn't hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, can.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
can, Mr. Jerren?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a very interesting question. The question was about the today's young people on how to navigate and what the primary pressures on impacting their mental well-being. There are actually lots of researches conducted regarding this issue, and it's actually multifactorial. It's from the biology, from environment, social, societal pressure and everything. But I'm trying to look at this question. I'm trying to narrow this question down. And when you ask like, what the primary pressure on the young people, when you talk about young people, we usually refer them to as Gen Z, Generation Z, or the people who were born in between 1997 and 2012. And a growing body of replicable research has examined the key stressors affecting mental health well-being of this age group. One of the most prominent surveys in the United States was conducted by the APA. We all know, like American Psychological Association. It was done in 2020, and the findings. Oh, sorry. Are you able to see my screen? Oh. Hello? Hello?
Mr. Jerren,
Well, can
we
you see me?
couldn't, I think, cannot share the screen. Yeah, only the presenter can able to share the screen.
Okay, never mind. All right.
Yeah.
But in one of the surveys done by American Psychological Association, they found that 87%, like in the whole United States, and college students, they found that the reported disruption was due to their academic pressure, like almost all of them. That's the primary significant source of stress. And the finding was also further corroborated by a cross-sectional study conducted by the Rutgers New Jersey Medical School in 2022. They want to try to see like if academic stress may represent the most dominant factor affecting the mental well-being of college students. And it's actually true. It's the #1 factor, the academic pressure. And in the research, they are trying to use the combination of what we call as the PAS, or perception of academic stress scale, and the SWEM WBS, if I'm not mistaken. It's the short Warwick Edinburgh Mental Health Wellbeing. And the researchers identify a significant association between the high levels of academic stress and poor mental well-being across participants, like all of them. And you know, like the correlation factor, the R, is actually really strong. It's 0.53 with the p-value is less than 0.001. So it's a very strong association between the academic pressure and the mental well-being. But when I say that, what they found was actually in all academic stress, there is at least one poor mental health outcome. So if you are exposed with academic pressure, you are likely to experience at least like anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, or those factors. And in 2023, there are further research, systematic review. It was like, so the previous studies was only done in the United States, right? And this study was like, okay, now we're gonna look at the international evidence. It was done by UCL, University of College London. They included 52 studies, and 48 of them also found that academic pressure affected all the students, like above 90%. So we can say that it's a significant amount of the students' mental health, mental well-being. So this finding suggests that academic pressure represents a possible target for the public health intervention aimed at preventing mental health problems among adolescents.
Yeah.
I truly agree on this.
Can I add
Yeah, sure, doctor.
Can I add something? At this age group, right?
Yeah.
The main responsibility is to study, right? So that is the academic, right? So the main responsibility is to study. Because of that, the primary pressure is always academic. That's of course, it we cannot say that it's the workplace because they are not working yet. They are studying. So the main primary pressure is academic. Of course, that is it's a known fact. And then all the studies, the number of people who are having poor mental health or not good in terms of well-being, yes, significant. But for me, our conversation should also look into the students who are able to maintain their well-being. What are the factors that contribute for them to be able to enjoy their study? At the same time, to work hard for the assignment and also play hard in other activities. And then we want to see what are the protective factors that contribute for the student in UPSI, in University Gajah Mada, or in any university, that they are able to enjoy their experience as a student. Most of us are talking about the unpleasant experience, but there are many other activities in the universities that are fun. For example, the committee for organizing this this webinar. I'm pretty sure you guys have fun despite all the stress to get the confirmation from the speaker or all these technical issues. But we didn't realize later whatever that we experience now is something to give us meaning. So that's why for those who are able to experience a better experience with study, depend on what? Of course, the person themselves, the kind of personality the student has, their coping mechanism, the way they cope, and then the support system from their parents, from their friends, whether they are good at. So, and then how many followers they have in their social media. So, even though there is no study to confirm that the number of your people who likes you will determine your quality of life as a student, not yet. But what I'm trying to say, right? Why can't we start the conversations and start to focus on what makes us feel a bit better and to enjoy what our responsibility that we put on us, identify the thing that make us feel not as good as we're supposed to be, and then highlight on the good experience or the good factors that we have. For me, that's what you guys, Gen Z and Gen Alpha should be, not like us, Gen X, who always, only study. It doesn't know how to have fun. So that's what I'm trying to encourage all of you to see how to make this a challenging part of your life now is something that you're going to treasure and you're going to remember. It's a mixture of, good and not so good, but both are going to make you guys as a better person for sure. So,
Okay, thank you for those perspectives from both panel. Yeah, I kind of agree with all of the panel regarding that thing, which is Gen Z, Gen Alpha, or Gen Millennials itself. We tend to study, and sometimes we should have fun also, so that we can mitigate the problem of stress and anxiety and etc. So now, let's proceed with our next question. So for the next question, Dr. HAZLI, from a professional standpoint, how would you define the resilience in today's youth, and why is it essential for navigating a fast-paced and demanding world? What do you think, Doctor?
The words or the concept or the term resilient also keep changing. From how it first coined, how it was defined, now it's getting more and more different perspective, different school of thought. Yeah. So, but if we want to just define resilient, it will take a long time. That's what we're not supposed to do. Rather than focus on the resilient, but we should be able to know, am I resilient enough? Okay. So we thought that it's a skill. It's not something we're born with. Yeah, this meaning is the ability, the skill that can be learned, that we can acquire. But again, to start with, different people have a different starting, where in terms of how resilient they are. The resilient does not mean this person is strong to face all the challenges. They give whatever thing to them, they're able to overcome that, they're able to solve that. That's not resilient. That is the innocent and naive. And they are the one who's going to have so much problem with their mental well-being. The resilience is a person who are able to challenge, to face the challenges and then go through it and able to somehow overcome, not bounce back to be who they used to be or at the level they used to be, but they become somehow a different person to integrate whatever the experience they have so that they can respond differently if the same challenges happen, or they can prepare themselves so that if there are new challenges happen, they know how to deal with that better. it does not mean the person who never experienced failure or no challenges or setback. In fact, they use the setback as a way for them to learn to be a better person, the best version of themselves. It seems easy to do. It's not, but it can be done. It's a process. It's a gradual process. But the problem, all this process are not cannot be seen by others. It's internal process. But most of us are very private and not sharing whatever that we go through. Remember, I told earlier, when someone asked us how do we feel, most of the time we didn't tell the truth. Somehow the process of experiencing or facing all the challenges, we don't really tell because we don't think people want to know. In fact, when we share, we realize people want to have or able to have. So people who are resilient, they know their limit. They know when to seek help. They know when to seek help. They also know the boundaries when they reach the limit or when they want to allow people to help them so that not the person, the people who helping them also can become a better person. So resilient is the skill that most of us continue to learn throughout our life. And by experience it, and then later we come to the stage where we are so comfortable be who we are. We don't need to compare with anybody else. That one of the challenges that you guys facing right now, the social comparison. Because of that, you always think that, am I good enough? You always think that I am not good enough. But someone who are resilient, they know their limit. They are comfortable also to be out of control for short period of time, meaning they are vulnerable, but they are able to tolerate being vulnerable. Wow. How could we be this kind of person? Yes, it was not easy. That's the reason we have to do it slowly, gradually, but at the same time, we know we are doing it. So it's a life skill that all of us have the capacity to learn. And then another thing is we didn't realize we can learn this in a group. We can learn this together, provided that we understand what being resilient really means. That's the way I see resilient, yeah? Yasmin? Yasmin. How to pronounce your name? Yasmin, is it right?
Brother can call me Yash also, it's fine.
Yash, what? Yash is easy, is it
Yash.
okay? Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you, Doctor,
Thank you.
for the response. And I'm really impressed with one of the key points that you mentioned just now. It's about resilience. It's a life skill that everyone should acquire, right? And it should be learned from our lifestyle and etc. So now we move on to Mr. Jerren. So are you here, Mr. Jerren? And here's your question. From your perspective, many pressures experienced by young people today are not always visible and sometimes not even spoken about. And in your opinion, what are some challenges or pressures that young people experience but may hesitate to talk about?
Okay. There are lots of factors actually that they don't want to talk about, but one of the factors, the key factors is the mental health, mental well-being itself, due to the stigma that has been around in the world. It's bad thing that I cannot share the screen because I have a lot of materials and the pictures, but yeah, one of the main ideas is that a lot of people, including young people, they don't actually understand what am I going through. What am I going through? Is this a mental health? Is this mental health issues? Am I just being extra? Am I just weak? They don't understand, like, is this real? Is this something that I need to seek help on? And when they ask their peers and when they go around to ask the people around them, we know, especially we live in Asian culture, Asian households, a lot of Asian parents, especially those who were born in Gen X, boomers, they don't really understand what mental health is. Even the mental health realm itself, like the advancement, the study of neuroscience, was just we just have the advanced knowledge about it, like probably for the last 30 to 40 years. So before them, we don't really understand a lot. But nowadays we understand a little bit more, but still we have a lot to learn about. For example, when we ask scientists, for example, what do you think is the cause of depression? What do you think is the cause of ADHD? What do you think is the cause of anxiety? We might have vague answer. We might have like, hypothesis. Oh, this is the hypothesis. What is going through to the brain? But most people will answer that, oh, we don't actually understand the full mechanism. We don't understand the exact mechanism yet. It's still a lot of things from neuroscience, behavioral neuroscience are still unknown to us. And it's even worse for them, for our parents. For them, people who are going through depression are just people who are lazy, who don't pray enough, who don't, they are just not striving enough. So it is adding to their stress, to the young people. They believe that, oh, probably that's true. That's what my parents said, that I'm just lazy, I don't pray enough. And they further stigmatize themselves. And eventually they don't seek help anymore. They just suppress their own stress. They just, they just piggyback all the burdens on themselves. They don't seek help. They don't really go to psychiatrists, psychologists, or whatever it is. So I think that is the challenges and pressures that a lot of young people are going through right now. And it's actually confirmed by research. The research was actually done by a collaboration of like 3 big universities, University of Reading, University of Oxford, and University of Southampton in UK. They had like 53 studies, and from both like qualitative data and quantitative data, which are like 22 of the studies, I think they were quantitative data, and 30 of the studies were qualitative data. And all of them, like 96% of the report, found that the barriers associated with individual level factors is the limited mental health literacy and the broader perceptions of seeking help. So they don't understand what mental health issues are. They don't know where to seek help to. They don't understand what is and what are not mental health issues. So mental health literacy, I think that's the key word, and what's confirmed by a lot of research in the world right now.
So I want to.
That's actually really highlights. That's it.
So I want to add what JERREN said, right? The mental health literacy is one of the barrier that we have now. For example, right now, right, we do not able to differentiate between mental health problems and mental illness. And we not able to differentiate between poor mental health, mental problems, mental illness. We still not able to differentiate between depression episode and stress and anxiety, or we have a poor coping skill. We're not able to know someone experience these symptoms is clinical depression or is the part of reaction to the something they are facing. But all of us say, oh, I'm depressed. Do not finish your assignment because of you playing games. Oh, I'm depressed. and then break up with your girlfriend who never want to be your girlfriend in the first place. Oh, I'm suicidal, because we use the term loosely now. And then the one who really needs help, the one who really fulfill all the criteria of depression, do not seek help. Why? Because one of the symptoms of depression, they withdraw themselves, negative thought, and they feel that people going to see them as a burden, and then they isolate themselves. The one who say they're depressed in the social media, they still have the energy to set to get the video and put all this nice feature to show how depressed they are. They are not that depressed, so that they're still able to do that. They're still able to book, to set appointment, to have a tattoo on their body. That's not depressed. They are a coping skill. So, and then we define as, oh, they are the symptoms. That's the difference between self-harm, cutting self, and getting a tattoo. Two different things. Oh, we assume it's the same. Oh, we cannot. It's a crying for help or attention seeking. So the whole idea, what we need to do is to do what? Yash? To do what? To be more knowledgeable, to get the information right, not from the influencer, from someone who at least went through the experience, or better in expert, or the one who are able to. So the mental health literacy is low in Southeast Asia, including Malaysia. What we need to do, it does not correlate with the level of education on level of intelligence. The stigma actually does not discriminate. Every one of us has the capacity to stigmatize. So the whole idea is getting ourselves educated, be more knowledgeable, and not just have a conversation about it. We need to follow up with an action to say, well, after this, to talk, not just talk, to talk with the knowledge that what we are talking is really a fact, not just based on emotional, for example. So that is the responsibility that every one of us need to take. And then we can do that. So, yeah, so that is something, that's the reason I said just now, to acquire resilience is by acquire knowledge, and we can learn, we can do this together. So that's my point.
Thank you, Dr. HAZLI. Now, I want to ask Jerren, how about your opinion, Mr. Jerren?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, it's about what are some challenges may young people experience but may hesitate to talk about? Okay. Mr. Jerren, your mic is off.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Okay. So could you repeat the question one more time so that I can add on to the answers?
Okay. So it's actually about how young people is actually it's about experience their pressures and also how they overcome those challenges.
Overcome. Okay. So there are lots of strategies that can be done. Oh, yeah, for them to cope with it. We call it coping, right? Like Dr. HAZLI mentioned. So what can we do is to facilitate mental health accessibility. So I want to talk about this from my personal experience. I have grown up in both countries, like in Indonesia for 17 years, and then in the United States for 8 years. I personally had like some mental health challenges. One of them being ADHD. And when I was in Indonesia, people really, my teachers, my friends, they all talked behind my back. They just saw me as a troublesome kid. I was just a talkative, just a really oppositional kid. I challenged the teacher a lot. I couldn't sit down in class. I walk around the class and like I couldn't focus. But I had a really good grade. I was like, we had like the ranking system back in Indonesia. Like I was always like the first, the second, or the third in my class, or even in the entire grade. But when I was in the college, I struggled a lot. One of them being like, we call it RSD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria. So every like single gestures from my friend or someone I'm close with, for example, like if they tell me, okay, I'm gonna go to your house today, and then they cancel or they postpone it, like, oh, can I go to your home tomorrow? I would overthink. And then I couldn't study for the whole day. I would be ruminating. I would be stressing about it. And then I couldn't study. And then my first semester, I got 4.0 GPA. And then because of the relationship issue and the attention and a lot of issues going on, during my second semester, I got 2.0 GPA. That's pretty bad, bad. And then I didn't understand what happened. I asked my friends. Of course, at that time, most of my friends were Indonesian, and they also didn't understand what happened. They just told me, "Oh, Jerren, you just don't stress too much. Just, oh my God, everything is in your head. Just don't be too sensitive and everything." And I trusted them. I judged myself. I just thought to myself, okay, I'm just a bad person. Why am I like this? I started to blame my parents. Oh, it's because of my dad. It's like this. My mom is like this. Oh, my grandparents. I blame everyone. And then during my third year in the United States, I took this class called Cognitive Neuroscience. It's a psychology class. At that time, I only did 1 major and 2 minors. I didn't do psychology yet. And then to cut a long story short, I had a self-harm attempt. And then I was involuntarily hospitalized. We have like 5150 in the United States. That's like a law for involuntary hospitalization. So if someone is hurting themselves, they're gonna be hospitalized psychiatrically. And then I was hospitalized, and then I started to think, oh, is this mental health issues? And then I took this class, and then the professors talk about ADHD, BPD, depression, and everything. I was like, oh, maybe I should start to allow people to help me. I should try to seek help. I should, yeah. And then starting from that juncture, I did the psychology major in 1 year. I finished the psychology bachelor's degree in 1 year. I got 4.0. And then I started seeking help. And we had all the accommodations on campus. So we have like the counselor, we have the psychiatrist, even for exam taking. For example, for people with ADHD, like me, for students with ADHD, we had like time extension. So for example, for exam, for 1 hour exam, I could take it for 1.5 hours in a separate room without distraction. And then I could get a note taker. I could get a private tutor, and I could also get like a lot of accommodations. For some Indonesian students at that time, they always told me, Jerren, it's very unfair for you. And I told them, if this is unfair for me, why is it fair for people who can't walk to walk with crutch? Why is it fair for people who don't have 20/20 visibility to wear eyeglasses? I think mental health issues is the same. It's the disorder of the brain. So if they can get help with glasses or crutches or anything, I could also get help then with accommodation, with medication. And it's fair, it's fine, because there is no health without mental health. That's the concept, the paradigm I told myself. So going back to the question, what can we do? It's actually to accommodate young people with mental health issues in all the institutions, like campus, high school, and everything. We know that education, formal education, like high school, campus, and everything, is the primary education, secondary education factor for a human, right? The first factor is like the family, and the second one is actually school. So we have to give the accommodation to the students, to give the access, at least, to them, to get the help for mental health struggles. So instead of judging them, instead of stigmatizing them, provide the accommodation, provide the access, the information, how to get help and everything. And yeah, I think because this also happens in Indonesia as well, even until now. I'm not gonna say what campus that is, but I have a friend who was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and he was dropped out from campus by the dean because they say, oh, it's just all in your head. It's one of the most popular campuses in Indonesia, and they drop out the student because of the mental health struggles. And I think that's something that we need to change, and especially in Southeast Asian countries, Malaysia, Indonesia, yeah.
Thank you, Jared, for sharing. This must be, I mean, it's not easy, but this is a very good example that all of us should follow, and then should be something that inspired us to do, to have a truthful conversation. It's nothing to hide because it's not supposed to be hidden. ADHD, even in Malaysia, Jared, sometimes even the doctors in other specialties also thought ADHD a disorder of children, not an adult. And then we need to do a lot of education about that. So, and then this is the example how the neurodiversity, divergent, like autism. We know the autism spectrum. Autism, there are so many people who are autistic. They are so successful and so intelligent. There are so many people with ADHD. If they're in the right environment and then matching for their needs, that they don't have to mask or they have to do accommodation. But I would like to just a little bit of explanation behind what does ADHD means. This under the category of neurodevelopmental disorder. Some people consider not an illness, not a disease, but again, it's a recognized, validated disorder.
Yes.
That under the category like autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and any other condition that the person is already have that since birth, but they are only getting more noticeable depend on the task or the responsibility and the environment. So this is when the environment play a factor. Even though this person could be the mild ADHD, when they're growing up, when they have more responsibility to do, they are not able to be at their how they cope before. So the ADHD is not just about not able to focus, because sometimes they can be hyper-focused. They can focus until they cannot do any other thing. But what they have problem is to deal with distraction. That's the reason they cannot focus. They're not able to regulate their activity, their energy, and their mood also, which Jerren explained just now as under rejection sensitive dysphoria. Even though they look like they can accept all the critique or negative feedback, but inside they are very sensitive. Even someone did not smile back to them, they can consider as a rejection, and then they have to have the emotional meltdown that can last hours or days. But no one knows that. and they will do very well on something they have so much interest, and they don't care about something they have no interest. So they are very bad in the tedious activities, but they are very good in a challenging activities. So that's what happened. If you look around, I'm sure there are few people in your environment in UPSI right now who are fulfill that description, but they never receive any diagnosis or any assessment. If you did not find any of your friends who fit that criteria, most likely the person who has that is you. So you are the one who should go for assessment. So what I think myself and Jerren try to tell you guys is introspectively look back about ourselves, accept what our limitation, what we are good at. Sometimes our limitation can be explained by the condition that we do not know that we have it. So that is what it makes so much difference to Jerren after receiving the support that he needs, after he doesn't have to accommodate anymore, after he doesn't have to wear masks to be like any other people, just for the sake to be the same. But he himself, no, I'm not like anyone else, but I have to fit in just for the sake to follow the system. So the point now, do we still want the system to remain as such, or the system itself should be resilient enough to accommodate the needs of the student? So I think that is something we need to think about and do something about this, not just talking about it.
Thank you, Dr. Hazli, and thank you, Mr. Jerren, for this immersive information. And I'm clearly understand what about these set limitations, and we need to acquire that skills. Yeah, it's really important. Now, as we approach the end of this discussion, I want to ask the final question to Mr. Jerren. Okay, so here is this. Something a little lighter but meaningful question for Mr. Jerren. If resilience were a superpower, what would yours be? And how does it help you navigate challenges in your life? What do you think, Mr.
That's a
Jerren?
really good question. I think, okay, I have this seen this research before. It's from Dr. Angela Lee Duckworth, if you know, she's the professor of psychology from University of Pennsylvania. She talked about grit, if you know that, Grit. I think that's what I would have if resilience is a superpower. Why? What's grit? So grit basically is the passion and the perseverance for very long-term goals. So if I like something and I do something resiliently, I keep on persevere, I keep on pursuing it for the long term, I would most likely be successful. The research was done in a lot of schools, actually. She did it in some high schools, and she, for the comparisons, she used IQ, income, social factor, and then health access and everything. She saw that, so for example, we know that in psychology, one of the highest predictors of success in academic successes is IQ. So people with higher IQ is more likely to be academically successful, academically, not in life. She compared it to IQ and everything. She saw that even for IQ, there are still inconsistencies, like the R, or the correlational variable, is not as strong as grit. Some people with high IQ graduated late or even didn't graduate, or even some people with low IQ could graduate faster than those who have higher IQ. So she looked at it. So what happened? So what's the one common factor behind all of that, like IQ and health and everything? And she found that grit is actually the common factors. So most students with grit, with high perseverance and passion for their long-term goals, like what I want to do in the future, I really want to do that. I really want to get that, so I need to do that. So that's a grit. Most likely, they will graduate like faster, and the graduation rate is higher than those who have lower grit. So for young people, most of you maybe have watched Naruto, the anime. So I think the best representation of grit is Naruto. We call it the will of fire, right? In the anime, like where he really wants to be Hokage. So he does everything to get it. So I think the best, if resilience were a superpower, grit would be mine. It would help navigate the challenges in my life. Because I think even in a lot of like therapies right now out there, like CBT, DBT, or you name it, whatever, like a lot of therapies, one of the common factors that cause mental health struggles we know is like cognitive dissonance, right? Where I would say that it's like the incorrect or adaptive way of thinking. And one of the strategies to tackle the issue is by restructuring the cognition, our way of thinking, right? And by having the grit, we have something to look forward to, the goal, and by having that, it's more likely that we are able to navigate a lot of things in life. That's for me. Like if I had superpower, grit would be mine, especially with my ADHD, you know?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jeremy. Yeah, I quite agree with what you are saying just now. It's about great, and yeah, it's actually navigate towards our goal. And I'm quite impressed about the examples that you give just now. And as we come to the end of the session, I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to both of our panelists, Dr. HAZLI ZAKARIA and Mr. Jerren, for sharing such meaningful insights and valuable perspectives with us today. To everyone joining us, today's discussion reminds us that resilience and mental well-being are not luxuries, but necessities in navigating the complexities of modern life. The pressures may not disappear, but how we respond to them is what truly shapes our journey. As we conclude, let us remember resilience is not just about achieving success, but it's about sustaining ourselves through the journey. Take care of your mind because a strong mind builds a stronger future. I hope this session has inspired you, encouraged you, and perhaps even reminded you that you are not alone in facing all of these challenges. With that, we conclude our session on youth resilience and mental well-being in a high-pressure world. Thank you for your attention and participation. Have a wonderful day ahead. To all participants, please stay for the closing ceremony and don't forget to scan the attendance and feedback form to claim your international e-certificate and international level mind check. It will be displayed at the end of the closing ceremony. With that, I would like to hand over this session back to our MC. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Yashvinton, Dr. HAZLI, and Mr. Jerren for an incredible, profound, and engaging discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now arrived at the closing ceremony, International Intellectual Discourse UPSI 2036, Building Resilient Minds for a Stronger Youth. To kickstart the closing proceeding, it is my pleasure to invite Ms. Nur Evanda binti Asmal Hamid, the Program Director, to deliver her speech.
Hello, hi everyone. Can you hear me well? Yes. All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Greetings, salam uksi bitara, and salam ke harumah kita. First and foremost, I would like to express my deepest appreciation and gratitude to our distinguished guests for gracing us with the presence to the International Intellectual Discourse UPSI 2026, Building Resilient Mind for a Stronger Youth. This event is proudly organized by the Academic and Career EXCO of the Harun AMINURRASID College, Representative Council MMKKH, Session 2025-2026, Sultan IDRIS Education University. Also, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed international panels of expert and Gen Z icons, Dr. HAZLI ZAKARIA from Malaysia, Mr. JERREN from Indonesia, Mr. KENNARD from Singapore, Ms. NAGIMA ZHUMAKADYROVA from Brixton, and also my dearest friend, Ms. MAKENZIE from the United States. Your invaluable support and global insight have been instrumental in making this program a reality. And also, I would like to give my deepest thanks to all of my organizing committee. I would love to express my deepest and most sincere gratitude for the unwavering dedication, tireless commitment, and also the countless hours that you guys have been invested in bringing this vision to life. And also, as the program director, I am honored to host this event as the support of the Harun AMINURRASID College of the Sultan Idris Education University. Also, to all our participants, whether you are joining us through Google Meet or YouTube, I trust that the insights shared today will serve as the catalyst for your personal growth. May this lesson learned here will bolster your confidence and also your critical thinking as you navigate in this pressure world. I hope this discourse today will give a very high impact to you and will give you a very strong, resilient mind in the future. On the behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to give my sincere apologies of any shortcomings or the oversights in the management of today's event. We value your feedback and also we will use it to improve our future initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Nur Evanda. Ladies and gentlemen, today's discourse reminds us that resilient minds create stronger communities and stronger communities shape a better future. May today's conversation continue beyond this session in our classrooms, our campuses, and our daily life. On behalf of the organizing committee, thank you to all speakers, moderators, and participants for making this international discourse truly meaningful. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.